for me. Run through the land, you run through my soul. Bring me wisdom and peace. Run through all ages and all of life's stages. You bring me around to find my release.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. If you notice, we have a tsunami of authors on. We're just back from being shut down for months due to the COVID. We're being very, very careful. Only one guest per day, and we only usually have it 2 days a week. So we have really had to scale down. So these are a lot of authors who were backed up from before and had to be canceled in March, plus other people. And when an author has a book coming out, they want to get in line first. And it's not easy. But anyway, today we have another author, and you've seen him before. His name is Bill Butler. Welcome, Bill. And he is the author about Brian Masters, Roads to Addiction, Highways to Recovery, the Brian Masters story. There's a copy of this downstairs in the Upton Library. And also, where else can they get it, Bill?
Amazon.
Now, this is his first book. But his next book is going to come out. When do you think the next one's going to come out?
Probably 2 months.
In 2 months.
But people can place orders now.
All right, his next book is called Hope, Fight, Live, Taking Charge of Life-Changing Medical Decisions. How accurate is that? Now, you sent me a nice cheat sheet, but I know you went through everything from homelessness to walking around with a backpack in Quincy, and that's how you came up with the idea to do the first book.
Right.
Tell us about your journey as Brian Masters.
Well, Brian Masters, I was very well off in Worcester or Westboro and so on, made $1 million, and then lost the $1 million.
Yeah.
And that was due to 5 things that happened in my life: divorce, person tried to kill me, which was dotted line to the divorce, trauma from the attack, and then 2008, 2009, the capital market fell out, my real estate went. I had to sell the place in Lake Winnipesaukee, lost money, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I was on the street.
And when did you get into recovery? Well, Brian Masters, when did he get into recovery?
He got into recovery really about 2016.
And it was a trip. I mean, going from rehabs, nursing homes. Tell us about that experience.
Well, the nursing homes and the shelters were someplace you don't want to be ever.
Oh.
I think to understand it, you'd have to read the book. It'd be nice to do it. It's like going from here, then you go to here. Now you're seeing the reality of subculture, a place you never want to be. Fights, drugs, everything. And I had to go to shelter, dress up in a suit so I could go to JCPenney in my car because I could work there, and then come back, redress, and look like with holes in my stuff so I wouldn't get
Where did you
off.
shower?
Wherever.
Anywhere you could, like at a McDonald's restroom, go in and just kind of...
Well, yeah, I brought sterilizer. Now it's all common. But
How long did that go on for, Kim?
That went on for about a year and a half.
Oh my, yeah, that's long.
But the whole idea behind the book is that it develops 11 ways to get out of that situation, whether it's homeless only or whether it's homeless and addiction. There are certain things that you really have to do, and I did them in common with some experts in the industry, Bill White actually, and by step, you can also see you rise, and all of a sudden you wake up one day, you have a car, you have a job, and you actually might have a date. So
did you sleep in the car too?
Oh, then until I lost it.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about his new book, the one I had just mentioned. Hold up the cover of it. It's not out yet, but it's coming. Here it is. The Hope, Fight, Live, Taking Charge of Life-Changing Medical Decisions. That's his new one coming out. He'll bring it in, I'm sure.
One of the things I want to point out is here are the doctors talking with the patients. Here's the operations. Here's working as a team. And then what can happen to you if you don't get the right surgeon, the right hospital, the right rehab, and know how to do it, or how to look for it. That's what the book is about. That's a man in a wheelchair, by the way.
It wasn't just about addiction recovery. It was also explaining to people that what you did, you went through surgeries, you ended up with a horrendous effect. And what was the infection again?
Well, the addiction book kind of merged over that. So then I came up with that after I got rid of the last infection.
Right.
But the thought is that infection is rampant, and so are different problems within hospitals, rehabs, and the home care. And in my situation, Worcester Memorial gave me a infection in 2011.
This was many years ago.
All right.
That's before they merged with UMass, and then UMass put the hammer down.
Yeah, same characters there though. And then in 2015, I had to have a hip operation. It was disintegrated.
Yeah.
That got an infection, so we submerged it with antibiotics. 2017, they gave me another infection in the hips. This was one hospital, and then the other was Norwood. So
Oh yeah, my parents were in Norwood.
So
It's closed down now, hasn't it?
yeah, because of the flooding.
Yeah.
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 That's
So you were in
That's
Norwood.
okay.
Did you have a lovely experience at Norwood? Probably not.
I liked the surgeon. I was introduced to him by a friend of mine, Don Hansen, but it wasn't his fault. It was just did well in that particular scenario. I didn't. But the infections, the first 2011, I was on life support. It almost killed me. After the second operation or infection, discovering the infection, I got what they call a double revision. If I didn't have a double revision, I would get sepsis and I would die. So it was clear cut. I had no choice.
Yeah.
Now, the other places I went to, I did not look for a second opinion or know how to do it when I went to Worcester, and I didn't look for a second opinion when I went to Norwood, and nor did I know how to do it. So the book is about, and I just told you the timeline, but the idea is to tell you how to give or let you read how you can look for multiple opinions and why. There's a Kay O'Brien in the book. She did the opinions, 3 of them, and the first two couldn't do anything, and the last one did a CAT scan and she was fine. But if she didn't do the 3, she would be thinking with the 2 that she didn't have an option.
Right.
But when you do that, you should really start with an advocate.
Oh yeah.
And the nurses that I've talked to and so on, but the book goes into what an advocate does and why you should have it, and an advocate's all through the book.
Well, you know, most of the hospitals, I know that UMass Memorial has a patient advocate program second to none.
They have done, yeah, I've
All I
done
do
that.
is call. Through the years, if I had any question, gone. It's solved by that evening or the next day.
I had a woman named Nancy. She was great. All the way
UMass,
through.
yeah. Oh, they're terrific.
But I should preface, this book has me writing it. It is from testimonials by surgeons, nurses, CNAs, physical therapy, occupational therapy. And these surgeons, a couple of them are very world-renowned surgeons. But then you also get the patient side.
Yeah.
So I speak with a number of patients who went in, they lost their leg, like a friend of mine at the YMCA up in Westboro. They were messed up for life. And you got to get their opinion of what they were doing. And the people who got around it by maybe going to look for opinions, and the ones it didn't. So the book is filled with testimonials in a flow, because what you want to understand with the book,
Are you on phase 1 or 2 on your?
I'm just on chapter 1 there, but
Okay, yeah.
selecting a surgeon in the hospitals is chapter 1.
Yeah.
The methods of doing it, how you're going to do it, and what you're going to do as far as a walkthrough, because that is critical to understanding what that hospital is about.
Yeah.
A hospital could be dirty, the x-ray machines could be lousy. You go to Newton Wellesley and they're absolutely beautiful, right? So then you have how they are taking care of it, or the food. The hospital is pretty easy, but the surgeon is with the hospital. So when you learn or read about how to select a surgeon, it goes with the hospital. Rehab, on the other hand, when you walk in,
You get who you get.
well,
I've seen people say, "Oh, you should have seen the one I got."
well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a reason why. There's a couple of ways you can find it, and they're common sense. You go to friends, which I did, and that's how I got infections, right? You can go to the Joint Commission on Health organization, and you can join that. And you can also go on Medicare, on their website. I've learned through people who do the accreditation for hospitals. It's very, very detailed. I tell you how to do it step by step. And I'll show you something that I have here, my folder. I think you have it in my, here's my folder.
He's got it. Hang on.
Sorry about
You
that.
got it.
So you have these hospitals, and you trust them immediately. But you really need to look for three. Example, I went to New England Baptist,
My mother was there.
New England, Newton Wellesley, and UMass.
And in Norwood, and you were at Norwood too.
Well, I didn't go back to them.
No.
They gave me too affectionate.
Yeah, I know.
But UMass, no. New England Baptist, they backed out. A double revision is incredibly difficult. And Newton Wellesley took it on. And I had two doctors, two surgeons, and one infectious disease doctor. And they saved my life.
Yep.
Actually, you can go onto my website, william-butler.com, william-butler.com, and it'll show you the doctors that did it, and you'll learn a lot more. And that's how you can order a book, pre-order a book.
Bill, remind the viewers what the name of the book is now.
It's Hope, Fight, and Live. And the reason is because if you don't have hope, you're not going to live. So you've got to have the hope, and then internally you have to really fight. You have to commit yourself. That's in the book, how you want to work it. It's commitment, and full forward. Can't back out.
You have a support group, besides an advocate, a support group. It was friends or it's family or someone that's kind of, there are two sets of ears listening to what's going on. I go in with my husband to medical appointments. He comes with me sometimes because they can maybe catch something that the doctor said we didn't get, or we just didn't understand it.
Well, that's funny you should say that, because in the book, the reason I learned so much is because I had an advocate with me, and she or he was a stenographer. And I was able to concentrate on the doctor, ask questions, and get focused back, while she wrote the notes.
Right.
And then every
Yeah.
meeting we would consult with ourselves. And we knew what was going on.
Right.
So I'm hard pressed to say you should have an advocate. Now, having said that, it also tells you how to work with the surgeons. You know, what questions to ask. There is a Dr. Hoffer who wrote a book, I won't mention right now. He's a top cardiologist in the world, works out of Leahy right now. He wrote it, one of his lines were, you can ask the doctor anything you want, because he's not at your disposal, you're at his disposal. But you can't take offense.
Right.
It's not the same words, but
Yeah,
it's pretty
exactly.
good.
Now, this is the second book coming up that we've been talking about. That's not focused on addiction recovery.
No.
This is in general.
This is how to stay alive.
How to stay alive in medical situations. Back in '93, I had very, very serious surgery, and I was scared to death. I had been in a hospital for any surgery in my life. So what I did, or I felt like a kid, I called the patient advocacy at UMass, and I said, is there someone there who could walk me through this, take me on a tour, and show me what I'm going to see?
Well, that's it. That's perfect.
Okay, so I was paired up with a girl about my own age. Terrific.
You know how many people never do that?
So she showed me the way around. She showed me where I would be, the pre-op, everything. And the day of the surgery, she came down at that ungodly early hour, saw me, and when I woke up, there was one of the other advocates, older man, standing right there beside me. Not that, I call excellent.
Well, that's perfect, because that's the advocacy I was talking about. There's a friend of mine who got into YMCA. His leg was infected. It was his mother and his wife that nagged him, and being the advocate, got him in there. He lost his leg, but he lived. Right?
Yeah.
And that infection came from Newton Wellesley, or New England Baptist. I can say it because the book is all factual. There's all true and all documented. The other thing coming out of that, though, is you have to know what between acute and subacute care. Normally, subacute care is with skilled nursing, in which point It's really the nurses and the doctors that are taking care of you at that time. Now, if you have acute cancer, or if you had a heart attack and you had to get to a hospital really quick, that's acute.
Yep.
This tells you also, if you know that you're going to have to, if you know ahead of time, you're going to have to go to an acute hospital. This information that I provide tells you what that hospital does and what it's good for. It's the same thing with the nursing homes, the rehab, it's really, and the surgeons. Those are the real focus on it.
Right, right.
When you go to the rehabs, I will tell you what to look for in the rehabs, who to talk to in the rehab, what questions to ask when you're going into the rehab, just like into the surgeon's office. All that's laid out for you, and it's not just laid out by my experience, it's laid out by top RNs and surgeons and some independents,
Right.
and the CDC and all the others, in format, so you're enrolled. Also, before you go into a hospital, I detail what every person in that hospital does that's relative to a heart attack or infections or so on. The doctors, the practitioners, the nurse specialists,
The aides.
the CNA,
Yep.
down right to the aides. You'll know, and you'll all the experiences that patients have gone through with these people. Because if you don't know their roles, what do you mean I got to put a gate belt on? No. Why do? What do you mean I can't walk out of my bed? No. You know, once you understand the roles,
Yep.
then you'll know who to complain to too.
Exactly.
You know, I'm being abused, and I address that too,
Yeah.
and what to do.
So that's in your new book, Bill.
It's
Yeah.
in the new book.
That's in the new book, and that's coming out in a couple of months. What's
months.
the title again?
Hope. Excuse me. I should look at hope. Fight and live. The reason I put that together, I kind of put it together so I could live. When I was hoping that I'd come back again, I had to fight, and if I didn't fight, I wouldn't live. And I 3 infections, 2 induced comas,
Yeah.
12 rehabs, and 4 major hospitals, and forget the number of surgeons and people that took.
When this started, how old were you? And when it ended, how old were you?
Started when I was 51 and ended when I was 61.
You were in what? You were
61.
It's like 10 years.
10 years. Yeah. I lost because of the infections. I lost my life.
10 years of your life.
I'm back again, and I'm fine now. But
Yeah. You said that after that, one of the infections, you never felt the same again.
that was 2011. I had 2 induced
Yeah.
comas, 3 blood transfusions,
Right.
3 more operations, and I fought back.
You found that, yeah. You hung in there.
Yeah, the infectious disease doctor said it was a miracle because the kidneys almost one day just went.
Ooh.
Now, what I did bring is this, just for illustration purposes. I'll tune it up.
I don't think anybody can see it. You tell us what it's about.
Okay, what this is a graph or a chart, and one has the zip code of the hospital in Westboro. I stayed there for 4 months, and it was a hellhole.
Was that Spectrum?
No, that's the other book.
In Marlboro Hospital, part of, okay, yeah.
So this was a Westboro rehab.
Okay, yeah.
And then I have a rehab in Millbury, which is Care One. And one
been
has
there.
1 star and one has 4 stars.
Yeah.
The one in Westboro was really bad. And it took me till the 8th operation to finally find Care One, which had 4 stars. And they rate them, and you'll find all of this, and it's in detail at Joint Commission and Medicare.gov, and that book tells you how to do it. Now, if you can't see it, which is unfortunate, this was the breakfast in Westboro. Now that has a cup of coffee,
Yeah?
muffin, Wheaties, orange juice, and milk.
Any eggs?
Nothing.
I think that's so important.
That's the breakfast.
That's all you got. That's what they call it, an internet, what's it called, European breakfast style at hotels? It's just a muffin, coffee, and maybe juice.
Well, sometimes I throw eggs in it, and sometimes I throw bacon in it.
It's no protein in it.
But this is what you got at Care One.
We've interviewed the head of Care One. I've been in there. Very good.
And if you can't see it, it's bacon,
Oh, I can see it. Bacon
cakes,
and...
everything.
Yeah. Did it have the eggs in it?
It has the eggs in
Yeah.
it. No, he didn't order eggs. Well, yeah, I took these when I was there. Luckily, I saved them.
Yeah. How long were you in there, Joe?
Which one?
Care One.
Cure 1, I went back 4 times because I found them to be one of the best,
Yeah.
and I stumbled upon them.
Right.
So I don't want anybody to stumble upon them because you don't have a second chance sometimes. But I found them, and I went back 4 more times. I was there 4 times, and I totaled it out to be just there, 220 days.
That's a lot.
Well, they allowed you antibiotics for 6 weeks here, and then antibiotics 6 weeks here.
Yeah, I know that my mother was in a nursing home in Rentham. Pretty nice. It was a good setup. But other places too, she was afraid to speak up. She said, not
Yeah.
there, but at another nursing home, somewhere else in Massachusetts. The night shift, we're not kind to people. If you had to go to the bathroom, you're going to wait an hour before they even waddle in to help you. So I said, Mom, let me go speak with somebody. Oh no, don't do that, because they might get back at me. I'm like,
That's when you call the numbers.
the ombudsman?
The numbers I have in the book.
Yeah, an ombudsman is great to have. It's at no cost too.
If you know where to go, and as long as they stay on the air, then
Yeah.
you'll go where they are.
Yeah.
At the last part of the book, we look at infections and pain, and know how the scale works of level 0 to pain. Some people don't like that scale because they don't know how to use it.
Right.
I explain how to use that scale from a baseline to the worst you can be. Well, 10, nobody's a 10, then you're dead.
Yeah.
But all the way up to 9.
Yeah.
So we look through pain. We understand why the medical field internationally looks at 0 to 10 normally, but there are about 5 other ones. And now you can communicate what your problem is, either with pain or a symptom. And so that works on top. But the infections are key, especially with COVID-19.
Right.
COVID-19, you're not going to have, there's a lot of prevention in that. CDC changes all the time. But there are prevention methods you can reduce the chance of normal infection. I'll give you an example. They found, in one reading I saw last week, and it was very detailed, the reason why people were getting infected was because the correlation was the amount of people in the operating room at the time,
Yeah.
the air movement. So you go to a residence hospital and you don't ask the doctor how many people are going to be there. Well, 12 are going to be there. I don't think so. No, not going to do it. Now, anesthesiologist, doctor, backup, nurses, maybe 4 or 5, that's normal, that's fine. But it was correlated to that. The other thing in it is, for example, there are about 600 operations, implants, and 350,000 of those in 2019 were hip operations. And the statistics are 56%, 56.2% of those operations in the total received a staph infection. It's too long to talk
right,
about.
Right.
It's a bacteria.
Sure.
And they get it.
MRSA.
That's
One of 'em.
different to the bacteria, but it's
Yeah.
bad, really bad.
Really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I never had that, so I was
Good.
lucky. But think about that, 56%. Now, they cure a lot of them with the antibiotics right after that. But if you go to a rehab, that's another reason why you might get another infection.
Yeah.
And that's in Dr. Hoffer's book.
Right.
So it does explain, if you have to go to rehab, how to look for it, what questions to ask, right down to smelling the hallways and the cleaning and everything else.
How about insurance coverage? That's big too.
The insurance is covered there too, but I don't make it a segment of the book.
Yeah.
The key to insurance coverage most of the time is staying in the hospital for 3 days.
Yeah. That's about it.
Especially if you stay in there for 3 days, then they'll cover rehab afterwards. You also have to ask your insurance company, if I have to have home PT,
Right.
physical therapy, and I have to go to Spalding and do outside, will your insurance company cover it? So I touch on it as I go through. But it's opinions, advocates, what the roles of the people are that are going to be in either a hospital or the rehab, how to look for a surgeon, Then it flips to how you look for a hospital. Then the other chapter two is the skilled nursing homes. How to find them, what questions to ask. It's even down to the recreation department. The recreation departments are...
The activities and fun you may have.
If they don't have one, don't go. Especially if you have more than 5.
If they have what?
Don't have a recreation.
They only have one is good. They have to have one at least. Well, they should.
Westboro didn't.
Are you serious?
Matter of fact, they let me. I had to do the announcements in the morning. I was patient.
Did you suggest that you would do it?
No, they asked me to do it.
Well, you've got the voice for it.
I look better then too. But in Care One, for example, there are about 8 staff members. The long-term people are there. The short-term people are there.
Mm-hmm.
Short-term people rotate. Long-term people don't.
Right.
And so it's also in the book is how you live through it and how you develop relationships.
Reaching out and connecting.
And trying to prevent getting an infection.
Right.
So you don't have to go to rehab.
Yep.
But if you have an implant, most of the time, like a friend of mine, Gary Lowe, his wife didn't have to have, she went to New England Baptist right home. But that's not the norm normally.
Yeah.
So, and they're trying to get it down to that point. But they're still getting a high percentage of people have to go there. But if you don't have to go to the hospital, then the possibility of infection is far less.
Bill, who would you like to target as your audience? Now, this is a totally different book than the recovery book of addiction. Who would you like to get this message out to the most?
I ran the idea of the book past my 2 surgeons. I can't mention their names. I call them Dr. Henderson and Dr. Pat.
Yeah.
And then the infectious disease doctor is Dr. Wynn, June Wynn. She's great. And if you look at my website, william-butler.com, you'll see the doctors there. Now, having said that, I'm targeting, that was what I was going to say. Dr. Pat said, look, if you write a book like this, with this content that you're thinking about, I will make sure all the residents read it.
Good.
So
Right on.
I've targeted and it's very detailed, the medical field itself.
The staff, okay.
There's 14 specialties of surgeons.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you could possibly get as a target market. The other is, as I said,
Regular people out there.
600,000. That's not including. It's in the book. 17,000 do colon operations.
Yep.
But 600,000 just in 1 year. That's another target.
I think a lot of people would want to, at a general presentation and all, it could be in a nursing home, it could be in a senior center, that type of thing. There's so many places that you can look into for that, and I'll give you a hand on it. We're going to have to close, but Bill, we've got Bill Butler with us, and he has a whole new book, Hold It Up Again, Hope, Fight, and Live.
There we go.
Life-changing medical decisions. And you have options, we have choices.
No.
It's coming out in a couple of months.
Choices is it.
You're going to let me know, and we're going to get you back on.
Thank
Hopefully we can stay open. If we can't, we can't. We will just pick up where we left off before, last March. It's been a long time. It's good to come back, and it's good to have people coming back. Thank you, Bill.
If you need any answers to any questions, go to my website, william-butler.com. And there's a contact and why you're looking for it, what information you want. Or you can order the book through there. You can also order the other books through
Don't
there.
forget to go downstairs at the Upton Town Library.
I'll do that one.
Because you've got the first book down there, The Roads to Recovery. But when you come, bring in an extra one for our dedicated authors wall.
If I can help anybody answer a question, it would be great.
Right.
I'm still
What's
editing.
What's your email again so they can reach you?
william-butler.com.
Thank you, Bill, for being on with us. I want to read this book because it's right on. It's just the way I see things. I connect. Thank you. We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.